I'm gonna drink some mead. Gonna drink a shit ton of mead. Let my mind be freed while I'm drinking mead. I'm gonna do a room design and I'm gonna do that shit with a tree. Ow! I'm gonna drink some mead. Let my mind be free. I'm gonna make a room design and do that shit with a tree. Everybody go bushes. Bushes. I made them with moss. Bushes. I made them with moss. I got bushes. Polystyrene bushes. Skipping and I got bushes. Polystyrene, a little bit of moss. Bushes. I'm gonna drink some mead. Let my mind be freed. Then I'm gonna make a room design. Gonna make that shit with a tree. Greetings, programs. Hankering Furnail here. Nice hanging out with y'all in the chat line before we get going. Welcome back to Drunkards and Dragons once again, where we play D&D like big old badasses. And I'm not just saying I'm doing it. You guys are doing it too. I know you're out there doing it. This is not a solo venture. This is a people's hobby, man. We got to do this shit together. Frankly, we've been doing it the whole damn time. Now, I know that D&D has been getting a lot of attention lately. Everybody buying board games, like people dressing up and going out in public to play board games, which is still just bizarre to me, but that is happening. We've been here the whole time, baby. We've just been doing it, just been holding this fort down the whole time. So it's great to have all these new people. You know, it reminds me a lot of snowboarding. Everybody showed up at snowboarding, but we had already been there for a while, and it was really cool. And it was great to have everyone there. And then we were snowboarding. Whoo! I'm going to drink some mead. Make a room with a tree. We're going to figure it out. You can do it with me because it rhymes with tree. All right, there's a bunch of shit to talk about tonight, I think, if I can remember any of it. I was just sitting here and I had 2 bottles of Hidden Legend, which is the bomb diggity, sitting right here on my table. We were chatting and I was just like, it's just sitting right there. I can't resist. So I've already had like 3 mugs. So sorry about that if I left you behind. Oh, you can really taste the wild elderberries. You know, there's nothing like a domesticated elderberry. It just tastes horrible. You want the wild ones. All right, what are we doing tonight? First of all, the main attraction tonight is going to be, we're going to try the art of room design. Echo, echo, echo. But live. So you won't get all the cool camera work that some of the room design videos have, but you will get a damn good room design. I was looking back on some of the videos and I realized, man, I'm tired of all this like instructional shit. You guys don't need an instructor. You don't need tips. Fuck tips. All right. What D&D people playing D&D know how to play because they play their way and it works. It's fine. What you need is content. You need substance. You need ideas. You just need shit to do. You don't need to be told what to do. You just need some stuff to do. I'm not going to tell you how to putt, but we're going to play putt together. That's how it's going to be. You just need holes. You know what I'm saying? More holes. All right, so I've got a room that we did. Woo, it was a while ago. It was probably September or so of last year. My 5th edition group, the Heroes of Lork, as they have named themselves, did this room. We called it the Stubborn Woods, but it's also been called the Mourning Tree or the Weeping Woods. Yeah, it's totally awesome. So we're going to get to that in a second. I got a few things to say first. Number 1, what the fuck? This glue gun that DM Scotty recommends. If you did not go out and buy this shit, do it immediately. Right? I was Mr. Know-It-All. Like, my glue gun's fine. No, your glue gun sucks. I'm not even going to tell you all the differences and amazingness of this glue gun because I know you're going to go get one. If you're crafting and gluing polystyrene together like I am, because that's like a thing that you can do to spend your days, you need this freaking thing. It's precise. It's got a power switch on it. How cool is that? Anyway, so now it hangs on the wall and has its own place of honor. I'm going to glue the shit out of things. I don't even know what I'm going to make, but I'm going to glue them. I'm going to make some of those cool smoldering fires that Scotty put up. Those are dope as hell. It's almost like I got the feeling like Black Magic did the dryer sheet spider webs, and then Scotty like came back like, you know, Ken to his Ryu, and he busted out the polyfill smoke fire. So it's like you can see when crafters are like one-upping each other and getting all like, no Shinryoken, whatever. I did the gesture for Hadouken, but then I realized Hadouken, everybody's doing Hadouken. So I wanted to Shinryoken. Wow. Okay, well, that was a digression. Anyways, that glue gun is really cool. In other news, thanks everybody for rolling up. You can go to runehammergames.com and buy The Daring and the Doomed now, direct from me and Twigs, and we will send you a copy of that shit in the mail, and you can get drunk and play it. Or you can play it with your kids. Have a lot of fun stories coming in of people playing with their kids. The kids love it because it's a very flexible, open-ended game. So get in there and buy it. It's cheap. It's going to be cool. We'll ship it as quickly as we can. We're trying to keep up with the orders, and it's going to rock. So go get your copy. You didn't miss out because of Kickstarter. It's just the beginning, man. I'm young on the scale of dwarves. I got a lot of time left to sell things. I don't know. Wow. All right. Remember now, if I look over to the left, it's not because I don't love you. It's just because there's a chat room going on over here. And I imagine there's a bunch of cool people in there saying cool shit about Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't want to miss out. So, you know, there's that. Okay. What else is going on? Oh my gosh. There's so many threads. Once I get, boats. Black Magic threw the freaking glove with the boats. So if you haven't watched his longboat video, go do it right now. Like get both windows going, but turn off the sound on his video so that you can hear me say dumb shit. Anyways, he's got the precision, man. This guy, I'm not sure where he got all of his craftsmanship capabilities, but in the coming months and years, I'm sure we're going to find out there's much more to this young gentleman than meets the eye. This crazy bearded Canadian who has a patio. I'm sure he has an impressive past that gives him these capabilities, but that boat video was dope. So I'm like, boat, mofo. Then I was also talking with Fistful of Dice, and we were discussing doing some kind of collaboration. We started talking about doing a ship-to-ship Spelljammer battle. So, hey, Fistful of Dice, if you're out there, do your thing. I don't even know how you do something like come up with an encounter or a story or do a session, whatever. It's going to be awesome. I've got my Spelljammers right over here, but we'll look at those later. Main thing that I wanted to do is the Weeping Woods, the Mourning Tree, also called the Stubborn Woods, an encounter from a few months ago, and a true room design. Now, one of the things I think that, everybody is just hitting me about room design. They're like, hey, dude, I like that you get drunk live with low-res camera shots, but could you please freaking stop messing around and do some damn room designs? And I'm like, yes. Partially because you're going to have to put up with a low-res live show that's a room design. Just with everything that's been going on and the way that Runehammer is like exploding in my face, it's hard to get time to edit. Also, the second novel is in the works. And, oh, by the way, Pilly Pow, your book is in the mail. John Reeves, your book and mug are in the mail. John Reeves, in case you guys don't know, is the proofreader and editor on Mud and Horn. The guy is totally awesome, and I think we're going to team up from here on out to do the Runehammer novels, and he's going to be my co-writer, editor, and proofreader because he is a smart mofo who gets it done. So I think everything has been sent out. Ooh, there's another one. There's these crazy 4 Realms of Chaos up in Canada. I don't even know which parts of Canada are which parts, so all I can say is Canada. There's like Canada, and then there's like Northern Canada. I think he's in Northern Canada. These guys paint minis for a living, and they're awesome. So they volunteered to do something for me. So I sent them a Warjack that I got from Iron Horde, or what's it called? Machine War something. I don't know. It's a miniatures game that by Privateer Press, which is totally cool that I don't play. But they had a really cool mini. So I sent that to them. They're going to paint it. They're going to send it all the way back. And then I'm going to do a room design and encounter in my 5th edition group called Death Machine that's going to use that miniature. So it's like, holy collaboration, Batman. What are we, DJs in the late 90s? This shit is crazy. All right. We got a lot to get through, so I'm going to quit mucking around. How is it? What time is it? It's only 8:05. My entire preamble, announcements, and plugging was 5 minutes. I've got a lot to learn. Jimmy Kimmel, I need your wisdom. Jimmy Kimmel ain't this drunk. Well, I don't know. You know those great Lakers. Oh God, what? All right, so I'm drinking Hidden Legend tonight because fuck yeah. And I'm just feeling it. I think I started a little too soon. Okay, welcome everybody. Hey, I spliced a bunch of familiar faces. We got 74 lumpy-headed awesome weirdos on the channel right now. Namaste. Good to have all of you guys here. Great to DM for everybody in the room. Let's get into some fucking D&D and quit mucking around, all right? So drink them if you got them. And this is room design right here. This is the Morning Tree, the Weeping Wood. All right. The idea of this encounter is usable anytime you've got characters that are under 2 situations. One, you're traveling through woods or swamp and you want to scare them. You want to make it kind of like fucked up creepy. Okay, that happens all the time in D&D, right? Like either during travel, like travel's boring and needs to be eventful, so you need some kind of encounter to stick in there. Or if you have players that live in a town that are sort of heroes of a town, they often do these kind of excursions, right? They'll go out, they'll do a thing, then they'll come back and they'll get the rewards. Then they'll go out, they'll do a thing, and then they'll come back. You know, it's kind of like a very Zelda style questing pattern where they're kind of dooba-dooba-doo, got the cuckoos and the NPCs, and then they go, whoop, do a thing, chop water temple, bitch, come on back, grappling hook, so on and so forth. So this works really good for one of those too. It's not something that's going to fit into a long sequence. It could maybe be in a long sequence if you had like 2 or 3 rooms before it, and this was kind of your boss. But really, the room was designed to be its own kind of one shot. And the reason that's the case is it's got a lot of scramble mechanics in it too. So if you guys know scramble mechanics, it's basically, there's got to be other words for scramble mechanics, but it's basically where you continually move the players, a lot of times against their will, to continually scramble the conditions of the battle. And then you have some sort of American Gladiator style setup that for them to undo the scramble, they need to make, 1 or 2 checks, and then they're back in the fight. So a classic version from video game world is kind of like when one of those big explosions on a WoW boss will like send all the players flying, and then they all need to scramble to get back into position, and everybody needs to reset, and then you do some more DPS, right? So same kind of mechanics. It's just in tabletop, it's been around forever. And the Weeping Wood is no exception. So you have some players that are in the woods or near a swamp. A swamp is perfect. Or are coming out of town. And in my case, with my 5th edition group, they came out of town. So there was this old monk in a druid temple in the town of Lork, which is in the Sword Coast, if you want to look it up. And the temple of druids was like withering. Their time of burgeoning was ending. Their strength was waning. How many verbs with ing can I use at the same time? So they needed the heroes to go out and retrieve what we call the Vine of Attar. And the Vine of Attar is basically this little sprig or sort of seed pod that they worship that is like the last hope of good in the world. And they need the heroes to go retrieve it. So it's kind of like a one-shot. So it's known that this seed pod grows in a terrible place called the Weeping Wood, which is actually a mass grave. Now, in our world, druids are hunted and killed by the sort of marauding evil army. Druids are not tolerated for reasons we'll go into in another video. But druids it's genocide against the druids. Now, in the area of Lork, near Don Pass, up on the Black Road and all that in the Sword Coast, just south of High Forest, the agents of this evil army in our world have gathered up all the druids, and they mass executed them. And where that happened, this terrible tangle of vines and bushes and sort of rotting trees all grew on the mass grave, and that is called the mourning tree. It's also called the weeping wood or the stubborn wood. And it's this tangle of forest that no one can penetrate. No one ever goes there. It's creepy. There's like mist hanging over. It's just like every description you can rally, put it in there. You want your characters to be going toward this place just like, this is not cool. This is one of the darkest moments in our campaign, because all of the good in the world has been gathered here, executed, and is now decomposing into the dirt. Whoa. All right. So Gregor, the monk, sends the heroes to recover what this little pawn is going to represent, which is the vine of Attar, or the seedling of Attar. Okay, so it's this little, you guys have seen this before. It's my little green gem. It's just a little thing that you kind of want for no damn reason. It's right here behind this tree. Whoop, see, there it is. Okay. I have the heroes approaching right here along this hedge wall. So there's a huge barrier of impenetrably tangled bushes and hedges and thorns. And it's important to use the term impenetrably tangled. This stuff cannot be jumped over. It cannot be burned, hacked. It's like 8 feet thick and 20 feet tall, all thorns and flexible and just horrible. They're approaching, and there's a small opening, and that is when the encounter is going to begin. Okay, so now you guys know room design, right? We need a treat, we need a threat, and we need a timer. So the timer in the room is a little more advanced than just a D4 that's going to lead to hell. The timer in this room is actually a spawnable object, and this is going to blow your brain a little bit, but we're going to get there. So these 2 seed pods right here are going to be our timers, and I'll show you how they're going to come into play. Okay, remember, timers drive the imminence of the encounter, so that people can't kind of camp out and take 20 on things and feel relaxed while their lives are in danger. The threat is not visible at first when you enter this room. It just looks like a bunch of trees, right? No big deal. The threat, I actually got the idea from Pathfinder. I know, heresy to some. It is the yellow musk creeper. So if you look up a yellow musk creeper if you want, it is a giant pseudopod plant vine monster which uses spores and vines to make zombie automatons out of its victims, out of humanoid victims. So it like puts these fungus inside your brain and then controls you. Yeah, I know, it's messed up, but hey, it's Pathfinder, right? So whatever. Okay, so that's your main threat, is you have a yellow musk creeper and all of the zombies. Now remember, this is a mass grave, so the supply of corpses for this thing is infinite. Finally, what's the treat? Well, the main treat they're pursuing is the seedling of Attar, right? So they basically need to retrieve this thing. Now, some groups, more conservative groups, will just try to get it and run. And that's going to be the smartest group. Did you ever notice, though, how rare a party of players will actually do that? That they will actually just go in, get the thing, and just bolt. Not look back, not try to get the loot, not try to get the XP, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, it very rarely happens. But anyways, that's the main treat of the room. Ooh, you can really taste the wild elderberries. Now, if that's not enough of a treat, because this can be a very difficult encounter, you might want to bury some treasure here. And the way that I would do it would be to bury it on a corpse. So one of the druids that's buried in this huge mush of corpses, which basically is the entire board except for the rock, is a noble, or is a mage, or is a famous warrior, depending on which kind of loot you want to drop. So as the players, and you'll see, start stumbling around in this mush of corpses, you can have them step on, a suit of elven armor, a long sword. You could roll on a loot table, on a D100 table, whatever you guys do for loot, but it might make the room a little more palatable because this is going to be hard. People are going to drop with this room. Now, as for the Yellow Musk Creeper, you got to transfer it from Pathfinder to 5th edition. I do that kind of crap all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. My advice, make it twice as hard as Pathfinder says it should be, if not 3 times. Make that shit hard. Hard, hard, hard. If things aren't extremely difficult, players never resort to anything. They just kind of roll up and kill shit. They disregard mechanics. Okay, so I've got everything that I would need as a DM stowed right here. I don't know if that's on camera. Yeah, it's on camera. So that's everything I would need. So that'd be easy to conceal behind your screen if you use one, or on a little shelf down here. It's, I don't know, a dozen Pathfinder pawns, a couple of little tiles, a couple of these little 2x2 tiles, and these pods right here, and that's it. So it's really pretty simple. All right, let's get into it, right? We're only a few minutes in, so that's the setup that only the DM would hear. All right, why are you doing this encounter? What are the fundamentals? Let's say you don't even get a chance to watch the rest of this stupid video. You probably could recreate this encounter just from the details I gave you. Okay, so here we have, if you guys recognize them, these are the Numidian Rangers. They're my characters from Campaign Encounters who are, you know, dealing with Garrett Frack and the flood of Westburg and all that stuff. So they come in right here. You got Foxy, Helm, Stills, the Goblin Rogue, and of course, everyone's favorite, Zymer, the old scholarly wizard. Now, as they round this gap in the impenetrable thorn hedge, you can reveal the scene to them. Most of the scene. The scene is a scene of grim plant horror, eldritch plant horror. There is a low mist hanging over the room. Everywhere you see baseboard, so green board like this, the ground is mushy and caving in, and there are hands and feet and occasionally a screaming head frozen in death's mask, and all these corpses piled upon piled upon piled on each other that have over the years formed into a sort of a corpse mud. It's all around and it's very squishy and wet, but in the midst of this swamp of death, there is one big rock formation, and that is this. At the pinnacle or center of this rock formation is growing this old dead tree. And beside it, it looks like the remnants. This used to be something. This was a place once. This was some kind of a druidic shrine at one point. Now, the players probably have some backstory on the mass grave and stuff, so there you go. The layout here is key. With all the room designs, it's key. There's an impenetrable divider right here, and it points right at the opening. This is a classic way to force a player to kind of go left or right. And it's actually far worse than that. So they go in. Of course, the fighter either wins initiative or gets agreed upon initiative, you know, like go ahead and go first, which agreed initiative is more than half the time in most groups, in my experience. So he's like, okay, well, let's proceed cautiously. He steps forward, and the moment he does so, give him a brutal dex save. I don't have my room DC little pieces of wood handy, but this room DC should be about 18-ish, 18, 19. Tough room. So he steps forward, and the ground is actually like some kind of an inflated membrane under his feet, and he can make a dex save against the room DC to quickly step back. He's going to fail the dex save, is my guess. Someone's going to. For the sake of argument, let's say he does. When he steps on this inflated membrane in the ground, it compresses and then instantly inflates and hurls him into the air. And this is where the scrambling gets started. Here's ye old D6, right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I need a random location, I just look straight forward, and that's 1. And then I go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Just go around the clock, 2 hours per number, and then I roll. So this is kind of ground 0. That would be 1, 2, 3. It keeps you from having to plan locations. Here you go. All right, I got a 1. So he goes, poof, wah, goosh, and lands knee deep in mushy, decomposing corpses. Goosh. Oh my God. Then it's the next person's turn. Let's not do the fox for the sake of argument. So Stills comes up. He's like, oh, whoa, the ground is some kind of launcher. Can I jump over this thing? Well, make a dex check, and surely you can. So he tries to make the dex check. Let's say for the sake of argument, he makes it, and he chooses this direction. Now, they know there's a poofer right there, right? This is what these little tiles are for. Mark where they know there's a poofer. Now, if you really want to be a fair DM, have a nice little map in your journal that shows where the poofers are so that you can fairly let them stumble into the poofers. But once they step on a poofer, you do need to mark the location for them so they can use a dex check to jump over it. That's it. But a failed dex check, which is what Zymer's going to do, I guarantee you, he's going to be like, I need to enter the room. Failed dex check. Get out your D6 again. Got a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So he goes, poof. Whoa. He actually flies beyond this ramp over here and takes 2 damage upon landing. Don't even roll for it. He just lands hard on one ankle and goes elbow deep into decomposing corpses. At this point now, everyone is separated and they're all in bodies and the smell of bodies is all around. Great time to make a constitution check on everyone on their turn or en masse, just to endure. If they fail the constitution check, have them run a random direction. Have them barf up and take 1 point of damage, or start to take a tally on sort of a madness. If they fail 3 constitution checks because of the horror of this place, you have 3 little hash marks, and that's a good time to induce a sort of a madness, which is running a random direction, taking a random action, attacking a random target, stuff like that. Randomness is madness. So now, just because they're trying to enter the room and making or not making dex checks, you have scrambled the encounter. And this is what's beautiful about this encounter. Look at the situation. Helm and Stills and Zymer, they're all in completely different places. They're more than 1 move apart from each other. And at this moment, this is where you got to do it. They all hear some kind of horrible creaking noise and look up. So Zymer from his perch, Stills from where he is, and Helm from over here. And the mourning tree begins to tremble and quiver, and you reveal the yellow musk creeper. It bursts out of the mourning tree, cracks it open. Maybe the mourning tree's sort of limbs become arms, and this pod horror head comes out, and vines and this yellow spore gas begins to surround it. And players are just like, what the fuck? I thought all we had to do was get a fucking seedling. Like, Gregor is not paying enough. This is messed up. So now you've got the tone of the encounter, but here's the crazy part. This is only the beginning. All right. The second chapter of the Mourning Woods, or the Stubborn Woods, the Crying Tree, whatever you want to call it, is basically trying to take this sucker down. Now, since we're not actually just playing, and you guys, I don't have 88 players, I have probably 88 DMs with me right now. So I'm not going to walk you through all the checks that they're going to make and all the strategies they could do. What I want you to do is cover the design with you. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Zymer's moved forward, or Zymer and Stills have both moved forward. He begins climbing this weird mass of whatever the hell this is. It's polystyrene painted green, but it's definitely going to take a dex check to get up this stuff. Stills, in the meantime, has discovered another launcher by stepping on it, and it's right there. Helm has decided to use these logs to try to help himself climb up, and in the process, discovers another launcher, gets launched back here, takes a little bit of damage. The musk creeper, using some kind of fair thing like a D6. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, roll it. That way you don't have to feel bad about picking your target. It's a 1, so the musk creeper actually sees Zymer first, which is kind of appropriate considering the layout of the room. And these tendrils begin reaching out toward him, and some of the tendrils don't go toward him at all. They go down into the decomposing bodies and search for victims to control. And at that moment, you get to start spawning zombies. Now, the best way to spawn zombies would probably be a D4 per musk creeper turn. All I have is this big goofy thing. I got a 2. So the tendrils reach down into the corpses, and using the mind control spores, 2 zombies pop up out of the mass grave and begin moving towards Zymer. And this is the first part of how the musk creeper uses its weapons. Now, these are experienced players. They're not scared by zombies. So again, let's kind of fast forward. The characters finally find a way to group up on the rock, okay? But the scrambling's not over, believe me. Okay, the zombies have come. Maybe we're a little bit in the future, so some zombies have popped here and here. And you know, be bold. There's an infinite supply of these freaking things. They're just going to start rising up. It's a mass grave. This is the worst place for zombieism to occur. And now you're getting a little bit of a feel of how epic this is. A good time to take a picture. All right? So you got, you know, one player who's just like, no one's going to believe this shit. Oh my God, there's like, how many can, okay, all right, I got it. Let's keep playing. So they move in, right? Your players are very resourceful. They're not going to waste all their time on zombies. They're going to go for this thing. They're going to try to cut its roots out or dehydrate it or do something cool. Maybe Stills is going to go stealth and try to retrieve the seedling back here. The yellow musk creeper has a terrible power in which it gets the spores inside a living host and controls them. So you might get some fun mind control where Zymer is trying to kill Stills, or Helm is fighting both of them because he's mind controlled. Zombies are closing in, and holy shit. Okay, just as a combat encounter, what the fuck? Okay, so they get the seedling, let's say, fine. You know, by hook or by crook, something happens. You know, players, they come up with all kinds of stuff. When your yellow musk creeper is at about 2/3 health, or even half health if you want to be a little nicer as the DM, it's time to pop your first pod. And this is going to be the timer on the encounter. The zombies are nothing, man. Give them 8 hit points. They're just scary, and every once in a while they do like 1d6 clawing and biting. They don't have infectious zombieism. They're just there for scary and a slow drip of damage, and to distract the damage from the musk creeper. Because you know how it is with encounters with lots of ads. You get very little DPS on your boss because everybody's occupied with all the scary ads. The musk creeper gets low enough on health, it folds up, it trembles, and coughs up a nodule. And this is your nodule. So this this is just a tea light with vines stuck to it. So it's like a sort of a glowing vine egg thing. Now, once again, get your random location. I got a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right about here. So it goes and lands right over here and begins quivering. Then you want to roll your 1d4, which I don't have a giant foam 1d4. Boop. Let's say you get a 2. In 2 rounds, get this zombie out of the way, this sucker's going to hatch. And it's going to hatch into this freaking thing. I don't even know what this thing is. What does it say on the pun? It says Nethalgoo. Well, it definitely has goo. I don't know about the ne. So in 2 rounds, the pod becomes Nethalgoo, which is this sort of crab, tumor, plant, hell monster. This thing should have the stats of kind of like a minotaur, comparable to a minotaur. So it's like a CR 4-ish. It's way beyond a zombie. It's got a pretty decent armor class, say 17, and maybe about 40 hit points. So this thing is like no joke. It does like 2d8 maybe, like an Umber Hulk bite. But it's really just a sort of a big tank, a big nasty tank. So it goes, begins creeping up here and starts fighting the players. And now they really got a fucking situation. So let's say Zymer casts Fireball. He gets rid of a couple zombies, right? These zombies are closing in. They manage to dispatch Nethalgoo. But then when they get the musk creeper down another 1/4 hit points, it quivers and launches another pod. This time, let me get these bushes out of the way. This time, a second pod also comes coughing up. Roll random locations on them. Let's say they go here and here. And now the players know the mechanic. They're low on hit points. Basically, everyone's low on hit points. And if they have 2 Nithalgus spawn, it's going to get dirty. They have to confront the timer. Now, normally a timer is a thing that just happens to players. But this time they get to actively stop the timer. So we get Zymer runs over. He does magic missile. Boo! You do 1 hit point to this pod and it kills it. Seriously, 1 hit point. It's gone. Helm is like, oh, shit, I need to go. He misses a bow shot. Another turn goes. This thing is attacking. These 2 are almost dead. Helm says, fuck it, jumps down, goes, does the 1 hit point, kills the pod before Nithalgu spawns. But then he's got zombies. He's fighting zombies down here. He misses a dex check, stumbles on the launcher, roll for his location. 1, 2, 3, 4. He goes all the way over here, takes a little bit of damage after flying through the air, splatters in the corpses again. Holy shit. That's your encounter. How does it end? You need to kill the Musk Creeper. The Musk Creeper is the source of everything. That's why this thing, you need to make sure he has like 140 hit points, maybe up to 200, depending on the power of your characters. A good rule of thumb is take the hit points of your highest character and multiply it by 5. That should be your tough boss. So, wow, they finally, they're working him, but then he regenerates and he's got all these fucked up powers, and oh my God. How did my players solve the encounter? Well, first of all, they were smart and they didn't really spend a ton of energy on the zombies. They basically dispatched the zombies when they were annoying and just let themselves get hit by zombies. When the Musk Creeper regenerated, which again, if you have 4th to 6th level players, you've got to have regeneration on a boss or they'll get their butt kicked. So the regeneration just keeps kicking their ass and they just can't get the thing to 0. They did a great thing. They actually realized that the life force of the yellow Musk Creeper was being drawn up from the mass grave through a huge root. And they used Wall of Force. If you guys know that spell, I think it's a 2nd or 3rd level wizard spell. They used Wall of Force to actually create a barrier in the root to where the sort of the juice could not be sucked up through the xylem and the phloem of the yellow Musk Creeper, and it actually became starved, couldn't regenerate, and then they just beat the living shit out of the thing. Eventually took it out. The beauty of when the yellow Musk Creeper dies is that all of the zombies begin to slowly go back down and rest and become dead bodies again. And then at that moment, you want to have this character on hand. I don't talk about NPCs a lot in my room designs, but with this one, make an exception. This is the nymph pawn from Pathfinder. She appears when all of the corpses have settled, and the ground actually begins to harden and looks like natural dirt. And she appears sort of out of a camouflage. You don't want her to be a ghost. She's more like a sort of a forest spirit. She appears, profusely thanks the characters, and basically does the hum nini balalini bing didi balalala hoop chip 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 and Elben ruin tala, everything good. She does the overall blessing, and then you can take your nasty dead tree and for lack of something cooler, which I think it's over there out of reach, but the morning tree becomes a sort of a green seedling, and the whole place, the mist lifts and all is well. And that's your big ending. And maybe she also can grant them a boon of some kind. Grant me this boon. Maybe she grants them a healing vine or healing seeds. She grants them armor, something that's not weaponry. You know, she's good. She's good. So when your players are like, hey, Dungeon Master, what is she again? Who is she? She is good. So that's how deep my story expose goes for the Dryad there. Hey, it happens to all of us. Anyway, there's the encounter. I think you see it. So there's a lot of use to do. You can use logs either as obstacles or as tools. You know, players might burn a log, make a giant burning battle ram or God knows what. They might actually wind up trying to use the poofer pods, by like launching zombies. They might try to lure the yellow musk creeper. There's a lot that can be done here, but you can easily make this into about a 2-hour room. And the richness of the tone of the room is what's going to carry the play for the night. So that's most of it right there. So the whole thing all started when I found out about the yellow musk creeper in the Pathfinder online resources, and then just created this room to try to create basically the ultimate yellow musk creeper encounter. So hide your treasure in the corpses. Make sure you understand the pod timer mechanic to make Nathalgu appear, or multiple Nathalgu. Always use your poofers, which is basically just a really high penalty for failing a dex check. That's all it really adds up to. You know, and every time they need to go from the corpse mud up onto the stone is kind of like, okay, you can battle now. That's going to be either a climb check or a dex check. So you just always want to make getting there tough. That's part of scrambling. You're either going to move them around against their will or make them make 1 or 2 checks to get there. That's a very mouse guard type aesthetic too, is like you need 1 or 2 checks to kind of really be in the fight. And if your rooms reinforce that tone or that feel, your players are going to love it, because it isn't just like, well, I go over there and I start stabbing. No, it's like you have to work the room, you have to play the room, you have to fight the room. You know, one great thing about this is that you go from such a dark beginning, which is a druid mass grave, to such a fantastic bright ending. And I think that's another mark of a really good room design, is that the beginning is terror and scary, and the ending is booyah grandma. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, do you see what I just did? You see that crit? You know, because that's another thing, that when we're doing room design and we're doing the videos and everything, and we're sort of talking on this forum, we don't get all that enjoyment, but you guys know all too well, like players rolling crits and like monsters rolling crits and like getting through it all and having a snack break and the whole thing. That's what adds to all the magic of the room design. So remember, I'm just talking to you guys as dungeon masters. Here's a piece of content. That's all I'm saying. The actual play is going to go directions I could never imagine. So there you go. That is the first edition of live room design. I hope you guys like it. There's a little side tip here, which is like put your terrain on risers. It makes your terrain come up off the table and makes everybody very like, whoa. It's kind of a dumb little tip, but it really works. It's very P.T. Barnum kind of a tip. All right, so that is the weeping wood, or the stubborn woods, or the crying tree, the mourning tree, whatever you want to call it. Whatever fits into your campaign. Can be a great travel encounter, can also be a great side quest type errand encounter. I hate to use the word errand because it sounds like something you don't want to do. It sounds like you have to like go get tampons or something. Okay, that got a little graphic. Hey, I'm almost through the first bottle, so you guys got to cut me a little slack. So that's it. Here's all the pawns that you can use, you know, and another thing that I didn't really get into, but that can be really fun. I had a couple of zombie pawns set up that are a little different. Like I had a really big one. I had a little kid and I had like this sort of a royal guard looking character. So one thing you can do when you have lots of zombies and lots of dead bodies is every once in a while you can call one out with a little bit of a detail. You know, like that zombie has like a grandma gray hair wig still on, or that zombie was 7 years old, or, you know, and like has milky eyes like a dead carp. You know, something to make sure that everyone keeps remembering these were all people once. So I just had chosen pawns. And, you know, this is why casting call is so important. Is like when you get your cast ready for the night, you're in private. You get to concentrate so you can make some fun little detailed decisions that later when you're DMing and the heat of the moment is on you, you'll just see the little kid zombie and be like, oh, yeah, I was going to have a little kid zombie. That's going to be great. You don't have to remember because you already made all those choices. That's why casting call is so critical. And then, you know, of course, just your little 2.6D tiles. And, you know, I only called it that to troll Scotty. But little tiles that can mark so players can remember where the launchers are in case they want to use them as part of some kind of cockamamie scheme, and so they can avoid them. That's it. And then, something for your pods. I made little light up pods because the light up pod makes it feel imminent. So it makes it feel like, what the fuck? Anything that's glowing, that's a video game rule. Anything that's glowing deserves player attention. And then, of course, your target object, which your rogue is probably going to snatch right in the beginning. But I would be amazed if players can just walk away from this opportunity to farm this sucker for experience. Like if they just got the seedling stealth and then just snuck away. If any of you guys run this room and that happens, please let me know, because that is a freaking awesome D&D group that you're playing with there. So that is that room. I got through it. Woo! So yeah, the classic one is to lock the door behind them. Since this is a natural setting, it doesn't seem quite appropriate. And honestly, I really like it when players decide to take the challenge rather than flee. They decide for themselves that they're trapped because honor demands that they terminate this abomination. That's the group you want, and that's the group you should encourage. You shouldn't always be locking the door behind them. Every once in a while, locking the door behind them is totally rad. Like there's like a demi-lich and 20 mimics, and you lock the door behind them. The mimics are all chairs, and using a charm spell, the group is forced to play musical chairs. That is the worst room design. That's like, that should have been in Karazhan. That's so bad. Yeah, so that's it. Whew, glad I had that off my chest. All right, so what else is going on tonight? Well, drinking. There was another issue to talk about, and it came up kind of just in the chat line before the stream, and it was about Fate. So a lot of you guys know about Fate Core and the Fate system and the Fate role-playing game, right? Well, being in this odd position that I'm in, lots of smart, creative people every day are pinging me, asking me if I know about this or have read that, or for the sake of research and knowledge growing, absolutely awesome. But for the sake of holy shit, what is happening? It's a little overwhelming at times. One of the many questions has been, yo, Hankering, have you checked out Fate Core? Tell me what you think about Fate. And I'm like, I never played Fate. I don't know shit about that. So in the past 2-3 weeks, I've been trying to get through all the reading. And then I got myself a set of fudge dice and just set up my usual little arena encounters, which is, Hankering Fernail and his shield with no weapon versus 3 goblins. That's like one of my most classic arena tests that I use to test game mechanics. So I did that with Fate. Absolutely loved it. I love the plus minus. Really simple way to see a great roll versus a bad roll. Really fun. I think rolling multiple D6s is super duper fun after rolling D20s all the time, and it's great. That's not the point. The point is, the comment that we had, and forgive me, but I forgot who said it, was like, I love Fate, but my players are a little too close-minded for us to just be like, let's play Fate, because they're playing D&D. Been playing D&D since I was a kid. I don't play no Fate, right? And my response to him, and this goes even wider than just Fate or RPG books, is that the hobby of game design and of RPG storytelling and story design goes way beyond the one case or the one version, which is a GM or DM and a group of players at a table playing on a regular basis. That's just one form it takes. This hobby is so multifaceted and big and open-ended that I don't know about you guys, but I love getting RPG books and just reading them and understanding and seeing the idea and then maybe incorporating a little bit of it, maybe not, doesn't matter. It's just an awesome way to see ideas and to see how others are treating similar challenges, which is like collaborative storytelling and gaming and game design, game creation, and all that shit. It's awesome. That is the hobby. So if you read through Fate, you're like, wow, this is awesome. I'm super inspired, but I don't have a group to play. That's all right. It's okay, man. You're still right in the center of the hobby. Or take L.A. Jackson, for example. This guy doesn't have a group to play with and probably has shit tons of stuff going on in his life, but is just doing this gigantic map project called Mapronomicon. And that is the hobby too. It's the collaborative imagining of these worlds and stories. That is the hobby. It can take so many forms. So sometimes, yeah, you don't get the group of players you want, or maybe you're on a break, or like this player's a dick and so it broke up the group, or they won't play the game you want, or Dungeon World didn't pan out. Whatever. It's all still the game. It's all still the hobby. And this goes for crafting too. Like your crafting stuff, you may not have a group of players that's even going to play on the terrain you're crafting. Don't stop because of that. Keep going. I mean, look at guys making these gigantic train dioramas and stuff. They don't have players. They're just doing it because it's awesome. Because it's a way of imagining. It's a way of dreaming and of telling your own story and doing what the fuck you want. Who cares if it's not what it's exactly supposed to be and what somebody says it's going to be? Who cares? As long as you're just doing what you're doing, keep doing it. Don't quit. And I think it's really important to remember that at times. And I know it is for me. And this is kind of how I am with Mouse Guard. I freaking love Mouse Guard. I think about it a lot. I love the storytelling. I love the comic side. I love the RPG side. Although Luke Crane's combat designs are absolutely bonkers. But I don't have to worry about that because I'm just reading it for fun. I don't have to worry about running a group. And I think this is important to remember sometimes, is that the Holy Grail isn't having this regular group of super skilled, experienced players, and we got through Strahd in 2 weekends, and I'm doing what everyone else is doing. No, that is not the hobby. The hobby is that you are dreaming of worlds and stories, and you're attacking it. You want details. You want to think in depth about it. That's it. That is the entire hobby. And it is a worthwhile endeavor because all that thinking that you do and all that crafting that you do and story and all that daydreaming that you do, it rubs off on other people. And it rubs off on other people in a good way. And that has always been the role of storytellers and imaginers, is that it makes people feel good about stuff, about how they got here, where we're going, who we are. It's not just an idle way to waste time. It is the way that human beings understand themselves, is by telling stories about where they came from, where they're going, and where they are. And that's what this hobby is. So if you're just reading books and you don't have a group, you're rocking it. If you're just making terrain, you don't have a group, it's cool. If you're on Roll20, you're doing it that way, it's cool. If you're just in your room fucking drawing dungeons because dungeons look cool on paper and make you feel cool, that's it. All right, I just had to get that off my chest. That's it. I'm gonna refill my Viking mug here. All right, well, I think, oh wait, I had one more item. Before we just kind of, I mean, I know there's tons of, I see like this, your peripheral vision just sees things scrolling, but I have no idea what the hell's going on. The last one is, it seemed like, and this is my own damn fault, but there was a desire to see my boat project. Again, I got to hand it to Black Magic. Really killed it on his boat project. And at first I was just like, whatever, boat, who cares? But when he showed his boat sort of moored, like it was pulled up with a little gangplank going from the boat over to land, for some weird reason, that just broke my brain. It clicked for me. And the method that he used to build the siding on his boat and everything, for some reason, just clicked. I don't know. And this is another beautiful thing about, no matter what your limitations may be, just keep doing what you're doing, because other people can always benefit from you bumbling around or you killing it. If you do awesome, people benefit. And if you bumble and make mistakes and fumble through the dark, people learn from it. So thanks, by the way, Black Magic. I loved the way that you built your piece. I don't work with that poster board shit. I hate that shit. But after I saw you so masterfully use it, I totally took your plank technique with the nail holes and bending it around the hull, and it all works so good. So I went ahead and I'm making 2 Spelljammers. So player spoiler alert, my 5th edition group is just about to get into spell jamming, and I need the ships so I can do some ship-to-ship combat, because that's what's so cool in Spelljammer. And so I just finally have a little bit of time on my hands, and I was just like, man, I got to keep up with Pilly Pal over here. So I don't know, without further ado, I guess I should kind of show you where I'm at. Now, these are not painted, so judgment will not be issued. All right, so here's the first ship, and I don't know where the frame of the camera is here, but my masts are not connected. I filled the bottom of the mast with pennies, so they're super bottom heavy. But I thought we might want an encounter where the mast like kind of gets destroyed or something. So I wanted to keep it modular. But here's my first boat. If you get the mast off there, and this is just using all of Black Magic's techniques to get the siding, and I've built a little wheel for the captain and everything, a little poop deck and everything. I did his planking technique, and really came out awesome, a lot better than I thought. And so that's the first one. I of course have the ever useful gangplank, so the gangplank like goes right there when it pulls up to shore. And then here's the second one, and this one was meant to be a little more of a variant. So it has like an anti-ship battle ram on it. So kind of like those ships in the second 300 movie where they had those Greek shipbreaker rams on them, and then got a mast for this one as well. They both have little crow's nests that you can put a mini on. So helm can go right up here. Land ho! And then I was going to do some rigging and some sails with iconography like Black Magic did, but that's kind of the idea. So these are silly, but they're about 2 standard moves long, so that if you were manning cannon and you had fires breaking out, and then you had get rid of the gangplank here, and then you had 2 ships sort of doing battle, you would have enough space here to move characters around where they could avoid fire, they could man a different cannon, this could like ram, and then this part is destroyed. And you could do all the standard room design shenanigans, but with a Spelljammer battle. The other fun thing about Spelljammer is you don't have water limiting you. So if your mind can handle it, you can kind of like have battles like this. Because in space, no one can hear you scream. Come on, this is like doing a rock sculpture in the middle of a river. There you go. So now that's Spelljammer, which surely you could use something better than a mead bottle, but in Spelljammer, these things are flying. They're in space, so you can get these really fun scenarios like where ropes are coming down or ladders, and they're shooting arrows and stuff, and then the captain calls for descent, and they're like, and they go down, and then they board, and everybody's fighting. So we're going to get into something like that. I'm interested to see what Fistful does, what he has to say about ship-to-ship combat. But those are the starts of my boats, so now I just need to black them out and do all the sponge paint and get the sails done and do the rigging. It's going to be awesome. So that is my latest craft project. It's been a while since I've been at the craft table. Basically, since my ice terrain set, I've been laying low a little bit on crafting. But then I got Scotty's glue gun and basically shit my pants. I didn't get it, by the way. Cyrus got it for me. He was just wandering around at the stove, and he's like, "Hey, isn't that the DM Scotty glue gun?" And he hooked me up, and that is the beautiful symbiotic relationship of players and dungeon master right there. He's just like, "Hey, dude, I got you a better glue gun." I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go glue some shit then. I'll be damned if you're gonna get me a glue gun and I'm not gonna glue shit. Like, I'm not that guy." So, hey, who's over here? What do we got 90 people up. That's crazy. 90 people are hanging around. Oh, hey, Cyrus, what up, dude? His pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking. Jason Ryder breaking out the Wrath of Khan reference. Indeed, in the Motara Nebula, it can be very easy to accidentally play chess rather than Spock chess, which is like, there's one weird thing about Star Trek is the ships are always on the same plane. You ever notice that? They're always kind of like up is up. They should just be like freaking. Go watch Knights of Sidonia. You want to see some sick three-dimensional space combat, man. Those guys understand it, that the giant amount of space. Actually kind of reminded me of Wing Commander, how 3D those battles were in Wing Commander. But wow, dated, huh? 90 lumpy-headed gamers. You glue shit. What can I do to bring down my prep time? Oh, my God. Whose question is that? Cody. Holy Lord. Wow. Cody, that is one of the longest standing, most unanswerable questions for Dungeon Masters of all time. How can I cut down my prep time and avoid doing things off the top of my head? I'd say the best tip I have is to think journal thinking. If you use the discipline of writing with a pen in a small book and try to stick to 1 or 2 pages per blob of gameplay, it can be a brutal discipline that can force you to simplify your thinking. But the only way you're going to reduce prep and reduce improvisation, by the way, improvisation is the bane of RPGs. It's not good. A little bit of it for detail is fine, but don't improvise room designs. If you use that discipline of the page to control the simplicity of your thinking, it can control your prep time. I would also try the exercise of not preparing a session until the snacks are on the table and you're waiting for your friends to arrive. Then sit down, make your 3x5 cards and write in your journal. And that way it's fresh right in your mind and you get the basics. That's another exercise. I know that's a little scary, but try it. Honestly, there's no easy answer to what you said besides playing D&D for 30 years. Yeah, it's very tough to control prep time. Honestly, if you want to be a badass DM, there's a shit ton of prep time. Whether you're preparing an adventure, something in the future, you're experimenting with storylines, you're crafting, you're organizing your group, which is its own hobby. There's a lot of time when you're the DM and you're dedicated. It's just that simple. So you're just not gonna save a ton of time. Some games try to go out there like they're selling reduced time, like Dungeon World, and what you get is a reduced game. I said it. I'm sorry. It's brutal. There it is. A 1-page outline. Yeah, Lungborough. That's the way to do it. The journal method, it was in a binder. Been doing it since my start. Yeah. Well, L.A. Jackson, you're a bad mofo, you know. Badass DMs are always prepping. It's true, man. Everything you watch, everything you do, everything you write, everyone you talk to, you are mining them for ideas to creatively play with human psychology. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. Now that we're getting a little heavy, that whole talk about what the RPG hobby is kind of got me going, but I think really good dungeon masters enjoy playing on psychology. And that is playing the table. That's playing the room, reacting to the tone and moving the speed up and down and the difficulty up and down to match where the tone is psychologically at the table. And that's the oldest skill in humanity. I mean, that's called leadership. That's called smarts. That's called intuition. That's called wits. And you need shit tons of sources to be smart. Being smart is not a talent. I don't believe in talents. I believe in hard work and practice. Talents are for gymnasts. This is brain work, and it just comes from practice and experience and freaking trying. Booyah. Oh, man. But, you know, also, like, sometimes when you're playing and you haven't been playing long at all, some of the most magical shit happens. So I don't want to say, like, you have to be experienced. No, fuck that. Fuck the instructor. Hankering for an ale is not an instructor. And I watched a couple of my videos the other day, which I know is a really weird, like, fourth wall kind of thing. And I don't like this tone of, like, I'm your instructor. Fuck that. I'm not an instructor. I'm just as clueless as you guys. You guys got to realize, before I started Drunken and Dragons, I was like on a 5-year D&D hiatus. I was just neck deep in working. Well, it wasn't 5 years. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It was more like 2 years. I hadn't played D&D since the 70s. No, it had been a while. Our last group came apart because there was like a weasel in a tutu. And I'm not going to get into that story right now. You heard it here, folks. First game I played was when I was a 7. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I think the first time I played, I was probably 10 or 11 and played GURPS. So much working. Yeah, well, when you're a kid, you got no money and you got a bunch of time. When you're an adult, you work, so you have no time, but you got hella money. So suck it. Working's good though, man. Just smart people need to do smart things so that everyone else can enjoy the fruits of our smart labors. Don't know how people manage weekly games. I do every 2 weeks and bust my ass. This is Black Magic talking. Amen. You know why, Pilly Pow? You know why that's so much work to play every other week? Because you kill it, dude. If you guys haven't gotten a look at Black Magic's channel, man, he's underwatched. It's probably like a Canadian problem. It's like those weird potato chips that no one eats, even though they're super delicious. But fuck, man, your game has got to be dope, dude. Your whole wolf cave encounter was awesome. Your whole spider glowing portal shit, and then you got the boat and everything. Like, how does that all stitch together in a story? Only your players get to know that, and they're a privileged group. So freaking own it. Do that work, baby. Woo! I know. I'm sorry about the Canada jokes. I just can't help it. Canada is funny. Canada is like that guy that wakes up in quest for fire and he misses the smell of a woman in the grass. That's Canada right there. Oh, man. What do you think of handing out feats and spells as the player's level versus letting them choose? Chris Marshall. I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea as long as you have the right collaborative atmosphere. As long as you're following the desires of the players of what they want to become, and then you're granting things within play that make them feel like, oh, it's happening. Hell yeah, do it. That's how video games work. You don't get to tell a video game what you get next. And it's fantastic. It works great. It's just keep it lively. Keep it collaborative. You know what I mean? Never be a ghoul. Never be a god DM. Nobody likes those dickwads. I can see Canada from my house. I think I can, but it just looks like a sort of a cloud of mist. Black Magic is a badass, says Jason Smith. Well, hell yeah, man. The dude kills it. He's got secrets he hasn't revealed yet of how he got so good at everything. Playing any video games, says Nick the Rat. I am playing a bunch of video games, but that is not what this show is about. We're going to talk about that somewhere else. What movies would you recommend for DM inspiration? God damn, that's a cool question. Templar Commando. What movies would you recommend for DM inspiration? Holy shit. I got to go way back. I got to go to Sword and the Sorcerer with Don Horsley. And I got to go back to Dragon Slayer by Disney in 1981. I still think that's my all-time favorite as far as defining low fantasy. And as far as like tone, storytelling, and pacing, I got to say Winter Soldier, man. That movie is sick because of the pacing of discovery and battle and conflict is so damn good. And they did the whole thing handheld. I don't know if y'all knew that, but all of Winter Soldier is filmed handheld. And it gives it this film verite feel that D&D needs to have. It's basically called specificity in combat scenes rather than impressionism. Impressionism is like Batman versus Superman, right? It's like these Dragon Ball Z like moves. But specificity is like, damn, that dude's got like he's trained. You know, like when I see Superman fighting, I don't think he's trained. He's just like, yeah, yeah. Anyway. Big fan of Winter Soldier, but the list of things that can be inspiring is so long, it's a little pointless to really get into it. But goddamn, what a great question. I would challenge you to answer that question for yourself. Conan the Barbarian. Fuck yeah. Nosferatu. What you know about that? Deathstalker. That movie's crazy. Ator, the Fighting Eagle. Johnny Mnemonic plays like a Shadowrun campaign. Oh my God, Bob McHenry's in the place. You know what's so great about Shadowrun? I just made a huge connection the other night reading in bed. It's the same thing that's great about Mouse Guard, and isn't that weird? Is that the modules or the divisible unit of adventure is self-driving. In Mouse Guard, it's called a mission, and in Shadowrun, it's called a run, right? So everybody who's played Shadowrun, which is all of you, I presume, it's like you go on a run, right? It's like, hey man, we need to go. One of my eyes is malfunctioning. We got to go get on a run. We got to do a run because this is an illegal eye doctor, and the only way we can get him down is if we get rid of his security, pin him down, and we're going to extort him into fixing my eye. That would be a run, right? There's a huge cash exchange going to happen at Nakatomi Plaza tomorrow night. The only way we're going to get through the ice is if we make a distraction in the street. We got to do this run. We got to do it tomorrow night, right? It's self-encapsulated why it motivates. In Mouse Guard, there's a mission. There are weasels that are terrorizing our grain supply. We need the Mouse Guard to go and drive them away. That's a mission. D&D lacks this module of self-motivating gameplay. And that's one thing I loved about Shadowrun, man, is you just do a run, then you kind of go back to base or go back into the sewers, like wherever you and your sleazeball friends, are building your car. And then you're like, what's the next run? And it's just so tight. Whereas D&D is very long and loose in its method of creating granularity and story. So I recommend, if you can, try to figure out how to get the concept of a run or a mission into D&D. It will yield great dividends. Did that do justice to what you said, Bob? Bob McHenry, by the way, everyone, bad motherfucker. The real deal right there. Oh my God, Beastmaster is so great. I love Beastmaster as far as the pacing of feels like an adventure. Really, really good. He levels up. He meets crazy NPCs. Then there's those weird membrane bat dudes. It's just crazy shit. Yeah, that's true. Shadowrun had a great feeling of the characters were really well segmented, and it just gives you, I honestly didn't care. I was Street Samurai all the way. I was full auto, jacked in, cyber eyes. Me being a cyborg myself, I'm just all about the cyborgs. Just get that titanium percentage up, mofos. Give me all the implants my body will tolerate. GURPS Dungeon fan. Yeah. Excellent old school. Blah, 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 blah. Dune. I just watched Dune I got a big TV the other day because I finally broke down. I hate spending money on TVs, but I finally got a big old awesome 4K TV. Watched Dune on that shit, and I love it. Cyrus, you keep your dirty mouth shut. Cyrus doesn't like the Dune movie. I freaking love that movie. I don't care. I have fun watching it every damn time. It's funny and yet awesome all at the same time. Don't you TPK lately? Story? What, Cody, you got to do better with your grammar than that. I don't even understand what you're saying. 50 Shouts of Graybeards. That's a username. What do you use for random encounter stats? Do you pre-make it all in your journal? Yeah, 50 Shouts of Graybeards. We don't really do random encounters. I'm not a believer in it. I do it more like I know the encounters that are in store, and the random is if and when they happen and how they stitch into the story. But I don't really do the let's find out what jumps out of the woods. I don't play that. You guys know me. I really believe in a mechanically tight game, and you don't get mechanically tight encounters by randomly rolling them. You just don't. You're going to wind up improvising. You're not going to have the crisscrossing mechanics that I think a really good room has. There you go. That's all there is to say about that. Spice must flow. Fucking Cyrus. You're just not going to win on that one, Cyrus. Too many people love that shit. The Dune books lost me after the third book. I spliced after the first book. They lost me. The Messiah complex just got really annoying, and I don't like listening to people talk when they already are God. It's only fun when they're becoming God. This is why all the origin movies for the superheroes are usually the best ones. I don't have to win. Discworld. I don't know what that is. I like Ringworld, but I don't know. Oh, hey, Wunderlich. Man, you're here every time, you crazy, lumpy-headed weirdo. Didn't you have a total party kill lately? I thought I saw. Yes, Cody. Yes, we did. We did have a total party kill. We had a small, simple room with very few threats, a couple of lizardmen guards, and a gibbering mouther around a portal. I mean, that's pretty simple shit, right? Cyrus, you care to elaborate on that situation? Basically, it was player hubris of hurling your body into the meat grinder. Cyrus was trying his damn best to keep everybody up, but the minute he would get them up with one hit point, they would hurl their body back into the meat grinder. So it was a well-deserved TPK. And it was horrible. That's the thing about a TPK is like, even when it's deserved, you're just like, why? All you had to do was moonwalk out of there. Or at least no, it wasn't crit fails, Nick. It was not crit fails that caused the TPK at all, because that shouldn't happen. Crit fails should not cause party wipes. Only dumb should cause party wipes. Sorry. Oh, you were not being a dumb brute. You were being, yeah, I'm not going to get into this weird internet argument. Guards. So was Mort. I don't even know what you're saying, but it sounds really cool. Well, hey, we reached 9 o'clock. And I'm at least going to finish one bottle, though, before we call it quits. Is that all right with everybody? Yeah, I'm going to drink some mead. Let my mind be freed. I'm going to make a room design and do that shit with a tree. We still got 86 lumpy-headed mutants in here enjoying talking about D&D. It's great to have you guys. I mean, fucking D&D in 2016. Are you kidding me? This is insane. Saying the word 2016 out loud makes me feel like we should play Shadowrun, but that's so reductive. You know, the future is not futuristic. The most futuristic thing about the future is that we remember who we are, that we become simpler and cleaner, more elegant, not more futuristic. Futuristic is generally a construction of the past. You ever notice like everything from the 60s look way more future than things now? So put that in your pipe and smoke it, L.A. Jackson. Give us some tropes. Hey, there it is. Man, I made it through a whole hour without saying trope. That's weird. Throw me the trope. I climb up. You could try to find a trope or something useful to do. I'm always trying to quote things terribly. Ever had crazy cursed weapons in your game? Oh my God, Gabriel Fisher, thank you. Best question. The fourth or so campaign that I ever played was in my senior year of high school. My DM was named James. He went on to become a highly decorated Marine. He was a fantastic dungeon master, and we were playing Fantasy Hero. My character's name was Jack Van Daniker, and I started as a sort of a swashbuckler character. We had a scimitar come up in a loot roll that had a cloven hoof on the hilt, right? Like the pommel was a little goat hoof. And I was just like, ooh, sweet. I'm going to be Mr. DPS. So I grabbed the thing and sure enough, stuck to my hand, never put it down until the day that character died. But slowly over each time I leveled that character up, I would become 2d10% more goat. So I would roll percentile dice and I would become that much percent goat. if it had reached 100, I would literally just be a goat who could talk and like hold a sword. It never quite got there. I think I got like in the 70s by the time the campaign ended. We did a Soul Gem campaign. If anybody knows about Soul Gem, it's basically an old trope of tabletop gaming. You have an evil wizard. He has a soul gem, and he is sucking the powers and abilities of other characters, monsters, into the soul gem, and then he uses them against people. It's kind of like a rogue from the X-Men type story. So we had that story going. I was Jack Van Daniker, and I had this cursed cloven hoof sword, which, by the way, was super badass. So I was totally badass for DPS, but I was slowly turning into a goat. And for all of our role playing and everything, I just never heard the end of the, my name is Jack. Oh God, I was so sick of being made fun of for the goat stuff by the end. But what a great simple little mechanic to use on me. Ravenloft didn't change. What do you want him to say? I feel like I've heard the goat. Hey, Kevin Cross, what do you mean? Holy balls, Ravenloft didn't change. What do you want him to say? Oh, I must have missed more commentary. Good Lord, the chat stream is just fucking flying. Well, hey, here's a little item that's perhaps topical. We're in the bookstore. I was binge buying Transformer comics, and I saw the Curse of Strahd book on the shelf there. $50 for this thing. And they put it on, it's not even on glossy paper. For some reason now, WotC doesn't even do glossy paper. They're just like, whatever, it's matte paper. And I flipped it open, and there was like a picture of some kids. I don't know. I flipped through the book quite a bit. I can't. I still can't believe that they couldn't come up with anything else. I mean, maybe Netflix should buy WotC so they can do some original material. Had a super old guy in a tavern beg PCs take magic sword. Guy, oh, so that's the way that you gave out the cursed item. that's evil. Mokhtar. Oh, Mokhtar. Who's interested? Oh, Balayal. Oh God. I don't want to say that out loud too many times. What's up with Mokhtar? Well, fucking A. Me and Cyrus are building a custom RPG. We are building it to try to answer every dream that we have. We've been working on it since 2011. We're trying to really get something that has the depth but the speed. It has the simplicity and the gut reactions to rolls without math, but it still has the depth, and that is a very difficult challenge. And we're also trying to adapt to a lot of different player styles, and that just takes time and research. And honestly, me and Cyrus are not the types to rush craft, so we're going to do it right. Now, we're super excited to get everybody into it. I know it's going to be awesome. I know it's going to matter. But this shit is not easy. It's like doing a psychology research project, honestly. It is a colossal undertaking if you take it seriously as a competitor, because you don't want people to just say, oh, that's a novel item, moving on back to D&D. It needs to be a worthwhile contribution. And honestly, the tabletop industry right now is more competitive than I can ever remember it being. So if you want to be smart, man, you got to bring it. You got to do your homework, and you got to do a lot of it. And that's, I'm sorry I troll like this, but I feel that's what WotC is not doing. They're sitting on their throne making Drek. L.A. Jackson, we do need people to do maps, and you are in the front of the line, my man. I give a half-orc fighter an intelligence. I can't read all that, Brandon Parker. I can barely see before the mace killed it. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Who is WotC? Who is WotC? iSpliced says. It's a character on One Day at a Time. Or wait, Happy Days. Shit. Joni loves Watsy. Did anybody get that? Is that a joke even worth making? Absolutely horrible. I know what you mean. I'm writing a set of rules for LARP, and I don't want to be brushed aside because I'm not like the other groups. Blah, 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 blah. I want to be different in a good way. Wunderlich. Wow. Writing rules for LARP is an even deeper psychological and sociological project. You need people to make that vision happen. So good luck, dude. Get it done. Get your outfit on, man. Get your plate mail. Get it done. Punches jukebox. Yes, well done. Templar Commando. Man, that's a great battle cry. Templar Commando is a fantastic character name. Cody says, how's that tooth? Dude, I got tuna fish in my tooth hole. I got some advice. I got some wisdom. If you get one of your teeth pulled out, and one of your big ones, don't eat a shit ton of popcorn right away. Don't do that, because you're going to have a situation on your hands. Motar Price. It's called Motar Christopher Metz. Man, we are light years from trying to decide about price. We're not making product. We're trying to make a contribution to the freaking hobby, to the scene. Fucking price. Who cares about price? We will make the price fair to what we need to buy more RPG books. Get some pants and some dragon t-shirts. Yeah, don't use straws, right? Captain Scooge. All right. Well, hey, this is the last mug. I got to finish this. Man, if you guys are looking to buy this stuff, it is a fool's errand to think you're going to drink 2 of these. A fool's errand. I think I was just getting excited because I'm all recovered from last week. I got my ass kicked last week, you guys. I'm telling you. Man, you get one of your molars cracked in half with a metal pick. And that shit is crazy. I got my ass kicked. Hey, Justinario. Peace. What's up, man? Trope. You know, I'm still wondering what the fuck that orange glowy thing on the wall is. Oh, this thing. That's art, dude. Art. It used to be the campfire canvas, but I switched it out for this plant cell canvas that I did. It's a canvas with a light behind it that I painted because painting is cool. What the fuck is that chain? Dude, I got a lot of shit, okay? I got a lot of things. And I happen to have gigantic chains. So, how was your ass after that spicy dragon hooch? Oh, you know what's weird, drawer off? It actually, Cyrus, you can testify right here. It actually is not hard on your exhaust pipe. I think it's because it's made with just natural ingredients. But I don't know. Like Cyrus had like 4 shots of it the other night. Were you okay? Did you wind up pooping fire? Chain is not. Yeah. You guys have got to make it. Here's the recipe: 4 Scotch bonnets, 2 cups vodka, half cup 151 in a bottle. Bosh, let it sit 3 weeks to a month, and then serve it to Cyrus Draken, and you will have happy times. I mean, I think what was exclaimed at the table after 1 shot was like, I'm ready to fucking role play. Okay, hey, Baleo, peace out, man. Good to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Capsaicin, yeah. Yeah, and I think this is L.A. Jackson. You have it right. If you use the natural heat, it goes in. It's not like, you know, some kind of weird Tabasco taco, whatever. The poofer. The poofer? Oh, the poofer. Yes. Ah. Yeah, Taco Bell. No, that will ruin you. I can't even remember the last time I had Taco Bell. Good Lord, that stuff's horrible. I mean, unless it's 3 in the morning and like you just like ate a man's ear, then I would want to wash it down with Taco Bell. That's it, mofos. I'm done. I'm done drinking. I'm done with the live stream tonight. It's great to have you guys. Look at this 84 crazy mofos up in here at the end. That's awesome. Good to have you guys. Welcome to Drunkens and Dragons. Art, chain, 2 different things, boats, room design, Mead, a tree, me, and all you mofos. This was fun. I think I'm going to go sit on the couch for a while and think about space. All those stars, tentacles. Shit's crazy. Crom laughs from his mountain, laughs at your 4 winds, etc. Thanks, everybody. Strength, honor, and 84 lumpy-headed weirdos. Well done, sir. Well done. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next week. Good luck with your groups this week playing. Let me know how it goes. Post pics of the shit you make on Drunkens and Dragons on Facebook because that's a cool thing to do. So we can all check your shit out. And that's it. Strength, honor, and 84 lumpy-headed weirdos. I will see you guys in a week. Here we go. How do I do this? Okay, I think I there's a call that's given. It's something like